Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. So, thanks for joining the call today. So, we're gonna start. Today's Tech Talk, we're gonna cover or we can talk about Dynamics 365 Commerce, Mobile SDK, and offline, right? And we have Anusha, who's Principal Product Manager, joining us, and also Pedro, Senior Software Engineer, and I'll be the moderator for this session, right? So, with that, yeah, so I'll start with a confidential statement that we are broadcasting this session through Microsoft Teams meeting, and then this session is being recorded on behalf of Microsoft Corporation. So when you join the event, your name and email address may be viewable by session organizers. By joining, you are agreeing to this experience, right? If you do not, you do not content to be part of the record session, please disconnect. Okay. With that, I'll hand it over to Anusha to quickly start about a commerce mobile journey, and then we'll be having live demo sessions by Petro. Okay, yeah, over to you, Anusha.
Okay, thank you, Kishore. Hello, everyone. My name is Anusha. I'm the product manager within the Dynamics 365 Commerce team. I've been handling the mobile journey and the roadmap. I'm here to give you a quick overview on our mobile journey thus far over the last several releases, so you all know what we have delivered so that you can stay on top of them. Kishore, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. All right. So here is a recap because there's been several improvements that's been happening over the period of time. I just want to lay that out in front of you so you're all aware and so that you can start tapping on these features if you've not already. The first thing to note is we are now in parity across all of the platforms, Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows. And our code base is one for all of these, and they are being shipped in a regular release cadence. The next thing is offline is supported across all of these platforms too. The device offline is supported with SQLite being the offline database. And for all of the transactions that happen during the offline times, the database is able to sync for those. And then once the device becomes online, it's synced at CSU level. The next thing is, as part of all of this journey, we also have an SDK experience built for you to make the app and create your extensions. This is the most useful and the most important part, which we will be zooming into this tech talk on how we enable you to build your app with the SDK experience that's available ground up. And that's where Pedro is going to spend his time showing us, and along with the extensions that you have. One thing to note also is we now have the extensibility across all of the layers, the app layer, the hardware station layer, as well as the database layer. That's one important thing to know. So if you are connecting to a third-party hardware or payment connectors, or payment devices, you should have that extensibility supported within our platform for you to hook up those devices. And a quick, release view, just to let you know when we've delivered all of these. If you are uptaking some of these releases, you know what to expect then. Back in the, I'm pretty sure people are over 10.040s right now, but we started off delivering the, extensibility with Android and continued quickly over with the iOS. And then we spent a bunch of time in enabling offline for iOS and Android, and subsequently hardened it. And during the time, we also released a lot of reliability improvements so that you can, your store associate store managers could get notifications when the network drops, and also improvised health check that gives you a view about your device connectivity, your wireless connections, and when the network has been up and down. So just a bird's eye view of that, so that the deeper telemetry can be looked at by your admins in the HQ. And finally, we also closed this gap with macOS and enabled the same parity across all the other platforms, like I said, recently in 10.049. Between 10.047 and 49, we've been seeing a lot of customers reaching us for uptaking the iOS and the Mac, and Pedro has been heavily working with them. So we thought that this is an opportunity to grow broader and kind of fill the gap on any knowledge gaps that the community has in terms of hooking up these extensions or building the app. Without much ado, I'm just going to hand off to Pedro so we can use most of the time in the hands-on session here. So that's with me on the recap. Feel free to ask questions so we can keep an eye on the chat. Over to you, Pedro.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Hi, everyone. I'm Pedro Leite, and I'm a senior software engineer at the Dynamics team. And I'm going to go over today. I work on extensibility and store commerce for mobile apps and for Windows. And I'm going to go over on a live demo on how we are using the Commerce Mobile SDK to extend hardware station, go over some commerce runtime, extensions and pause extensions. We're going to go on a guide that I call from zero to hero. So from no app to an app with a simple extension, just to showcase the do's and don'ts on the mobile development. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and bear with me as I'm going to go from our GitHub samples, but I'm not going to use the samples that we have there. I'm going to modify them just to go from zero so you can understand how the samples were created as well. I'll start sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second. All right. Hoping that everyone can read. And this basically, what we have to do is, one, we have our Git repository, right? Which has the samples, our GitHub. The very first thing we have to do is, one, we need to go to this and clone it. So when we clone it, unfortunately, we shouldn't use the main branch. There is some issue that we're going to fix later, but we should use the release that we want to develop against. So if it's 10.0.48, let's do and download 9.58. That's how the mapping works. So we switch here, right? So instead of I've seen some people downloading as a zip and whatnot. You do however you want. What I recommend is we're going to go and we're going to do a git clone of the repo, specifying the branch, and single branch just to not download the whole repo, just the branch that you want to release. This is optional. However, I would strongly recommend you do a git clone. After you clone, we're going to have the folder, we're going to have the release, and we're going to have the repo as is. On here, I'm going to open Visual Studio Code. So I'm assuming already that you have some prerequisites, but I'm going to go over some of them. I'm going to open Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to demo using Visual Studio Code for you, not Visual Studio, because I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to demo the iOS. So I have Visual Studio Code open here. Let me make the screen bigger. And I have our sample app, which is already under source packaging samples, Store Commerce Mobile app, Contoso Store Commerce Mobile app.cs project. We will have a README on the repo. We will have everything that you need. I am going to take this and I'm going to start from scratch. So for now, I also created a set of docs that eventually we're going to make it available to you, which is a step-by-step on the prerequisites, how to clone, what to clone, adding the mobile dependencies, and how to build the extensions and extend the extensions in the mobile app, build and run, and having everything ready. So right now, I'm not going to go over the guide. I'm just going to go over the quick steps, which are the 0 to hero, but all of the guide will be available later next week. So I've already did the prerequisites, which basically we need .NET 10 SDK. So I have another prerequisites here. Sorry, let me just make it here. We need the .NET 10 SDK, Git just to clone the repo, Visual Studio Code to develop, and the .NET MAUI extension for VS Code because we needed to run the app, and our app is based on the MAUI technology. We installed the MAUI workload so we can actually use the SDKs for Android, iOS, and the MAUI SDK for Android, iOS, and Mac Catalyst. So we will have provide commands. We'll provide also like links on how to set up Android, iOS, and Mac based on the .NET MAUI prerequisites. And then this you can read on your own. And now wait to just verify the setup. So just for the version, I can just show you that the version that I'm using is 10.0.300. The newest one is 10.0.302 that was released yesterday. So I haven't updated yet, but we will be supporting the latest .NET SDK. And for the workload, I have the MAUI workload installed, and we should be ready to go. So the very first thing is after we clone, and I clone the 958, 959 is going to be available soon as well. We will need to download the mobile packages from the LCS shared library. So I've already gone ahead and downloaded it. So I downloaded to my folder. This is my folder. I downloaded the Star Commerce Android, and I can show you where to find it on LCS. So when we go to the asset library, we go to the retail self-service package and get the latest Star Commerce for Android for the version that we need. So since we're developing for 10.04.8, I'm going to get this one. It's called the Star Commerce for Android because initially it was we only supported Android, but this contains all of the packages necessary for Android, iOS, and macOS. So after downloading it, we will unzip it, and there's going to be the packages folder. I'm going to copy this packages folder to the repo, to the root of the repository that we just cloned. And then I'm going to configure the NuGet.config to add those packages. So I'm going to go into NuGet.config, and I'm going to add those packages. With that, we have it set up. Now we're going to develop the app. So I'm going to take the app that we have, and I'm going to create my custom mobile app. I'm going to copy this folder. Sorry. There. Create an app folder. This is not necessary. I just want to do it from the get-go. I'm going to just develop an iOS app and macOS for today. So I'm not going to target all of them, but you can target Net 10 Android, Net 10 iOS, and Net 10 Mac Catalyst. So just to compile faster, I'm just going to remove Android for now. I'm going to customize my commerce app. I will have my customization package as well. We need the customization package. I'm going to keep it as is because, as you might be aware of, as of now, we need the customization package to be enabled on CSU. So we can use the extensions on that. And for the time being, our app only supports one package per app, and multi-package support is being developed. I'm just going to change some stuff here. And this needs to point to the repo.props file, which is 1, 2 above. I'm not creating a solution yet. We can create a solution as well, but I'm just gonna go without it. You can do it on your Visual Studio. You can do it on the Visual Studio Code. I'm just gonna focus on creating a custom app. All right, having the app and the customization. Now I'm gonna create a folder, my pause extension. I will bring, just 1 second. We'll bring the extension soon. Sorry, my other Visual Studio. We'll do first actually a hardware station, Apple's extension, and I'm gonna use the file printer extension. And I'll go over it. All right, and on my extension, I'll just have a postcard checkout print file. And it's the same manifest that you are already aware. It's just a common pause extension. I'm gonna call it my pause extensions. And for the pause extensions, we reference the SDK.pause, the Microsoft Dynamics Commerce SDK pause, and we use the versions that are on the repo.props. So we don't have to manually be typing the version. This is the extension that we already have on the one of the extensions that we already have on the samples. I'm just creating a very minimum one. And on the trigger that we already have there, it's just gonna show a dialog asking, would you like to print the transaction receipt in a file? And then we're gonna call, if the result is yes, we're gonna call the hardware station, a custom hardware station extension called file printer print. So now that I have the pause extension, there's a tree for later. I'm gonna add now the hardware station extension. So I'm gonna do a new folder, my hardware Station extension. For the hardware station extension, I will just bring it here. I'm gonna call it my.hardware station extensions. And if you notice here, our hardware station extensions and commerce runtime extensions, which are for offline, for instance, we target the framework Net Standard 2.0, so it can work across different components. And all we need to do is to reference the SDK for hardware and peripherals. So we don't need to, we should not be referencing Microsoft Dynamics Commerce dot something else or other packages. We should always on our extensions only reference SDK packages. This will be on the troubleshooting guide that I'm going to provide as part of this guide. On this extension, I will have the print file request in which I get the lines, the file name, and on the controller, it is just a hardware station controller. We will just do a file printer controller, which is a root prefix file print, and have the print method. For the path, I will just use a path, controls of file printer directory, and then we're just gonna write all the lines to that temp path. Obviously, this is gonna live inside the simulator or a device. So this is just for demo purposes. Let me just change it a little bit to return false and not true. So now I have my pause extension that will trigger the dialog after after the post checkout. That will call my hardware station extension. Now all I need to do is on my app, I need to reference those projects. Your project reference. Which should be just 1 second. Copy relative path. Is one above my pause extension. All right. As of 9:58, we do have a small bug that was fixed on 9:59. And we do need to reference the output assembly of the project. This is an extensibility issue that was fixed later, and this is also caught on the troubleshooting guide. Right now, I am gonna remove all of the Android specific stuff. We definitely need the SDK for the mobile app. We need the SDK.starcommerce.mobile. We need the MAUI controls and then ASP.NET Core MAUI packages. These are included on the sample. And now that I have the app done and wired up, I also made sure that on my CSU, I enabled the package that is called controls.store commerce package sample. So now I'm just gonna go and run the app. Let me just make sure I'm on the right path. And let's just do it. So to run, we can just use the run and debug. But before I run and debug, I'm just gonna select the configuration. Right now it's using the Mac, and I can use the iOS as well. So let me launch the configuration and use one simulator for iOS. Let me look this iPhone 17. Let me use one that I've already used. I believe I've used it too. I'll just use the 26.5. And then I'll run and debug. Oh, sorry. I selected the wrong mobile app. So on Visual Studio, I needed to select the correct app. Let me just, to make it more clear, use my.startcommerce.mobile app. Split my here. My through loading, and now I can do my.startcommerce mobile app. Now verifying everything. My Mac. I'll just run on the Mac first, and then I can, sorry, on the iOS first. My.NET 10 iOS, run and debug. So as you can see here, it compiled the hardware station extension, it compiled the pause extension, now it's compiling the app, and the SDK will do all of the heavy work of embedding all of these extensions inside the app, creating the app. There will be possibly more steps for your own app, including the signing key, provisioning profile. I will not go over that for now, at least. All right, the build succeeded, and then it's starting the simulator. Oh, sorry, this is the 26.5. Okay. It's starting another simulator here. It's deploying the app. Do this. Now we have the app. We can do the cloud pause URL. We can continue with offline support, and that's what we're going to do to use the in-app content. Just 1 second. And you can see all the logs here on the debug console. Just one moment. I have to update my app to not use AAD just for the brevity of this demo because my environment is not configured. So what I have done was I have changed it locally to not use AAD. I do not recommend that. I'm just doing it for development purposes. But because I have done that, I have to just rebuild the app. So I will clean my environment, and I'll just go ahead and run it again. And I have done some, sorry, it needs to restore the app. Oh, um, I am sorry. I did a git clean when I shouldn't, and because I did a git clean, it deleted my packages. I haven't added them. I haven't tracked them on the repo. All right, they should be good now. All right, so I'll continue with offline support. That's the activation. Sorry, I don't remember which device ID I have on my machine. Let me just quickly. Find one for you. It should be Houston 27, Houston 27. Now I'm gonna activate. So this is the point of sale with offline support. All of this is in-app. You're not connected to a cloud POS that is on a remote CSU. I'm gonna select my hardware station. Edit it. Now I'm gonna go to my transaction. I'm gonna add a product. And I did have a failure. Oh, sorry, I did have a terminal, payment terminal configured, and I forgot to disconfigure. So as you can see, even on the logs, as you can see, I have some of the issues here, and we can even investigate. In my case, so for development purposes, let me just show you this. I just took this exception here, and then on the logs, I can see exception message, peripheral parameter is missing, and you're gonna have some exceptions. So whenever you're doing your development, you're gonna have some telemetry on the console during the debug. So on your development, you can also investigate what is going on. In my case, it's just because I configured a payment terminal for this register, but I don't have it connected here for the demo. So we're just gonna continue. I'm gonna pay with cash. So now, as you can see, would you like to print a transaction receipt in the file? That's my POS extension already in action. I'm going to click yes, and it's calling my hardware station extension with the file name. I will just debug as usual. As you can see, I got a path. I'm going to use this path here. I went to the path, and I'm going to go ahead, write all files. And I have here the line with the product ID and the total amount. Then I'm going to continue, and then I'll come back to pause. And for the same, as similar to Start Commerce for Windows, we can come here and see the extension packages. I have more extension packages on the CSU enabled, so you're going to have the full picture here. So I'll have the POS extension package, which is the Contoso Start Commerce packaging sample, as I showed you on the manifest, and a customization package.props. And then view the details. I have my postcard checkout print file trigger extension. We are not going to go over offline today due to timing, but the same way you can create a commerce runtime extension. We will have support for syncing the offline database the same way it's done on Windows, and the offline database is just a SQLite database that is included in the app. So we sync the same way as Windows. We don't have a complete parity with all of the features that we have on Windows because of some SQLite limitations and some feature gaps, but we want you to use it and let us know what is missing for your workflows. We've already worked with some partners to fill the gap, but we do not know exactly how each and one of you are using it and what is there and what is not. And just a quick wrap up, I'm gonna go stop this, and I'm gonna go quickly change here to the Mac. So now I have it running on the Mac, and I'm gonna do a run and debug on the project, and then it should be created on a Mac. Just 1 second to make sure that I have a device for the Mac configured on my FNO. All right, I do. And on FNO, the configuration of the device, the application type is going to be Start Commerce for Mac. on the device's configuration. So this is a new one. So bear with me. I will continue with offline support, and as you can see, we will have the same logs as we do for iOS. Store Commerce from X, it's in preview. So please, if you are using it, please let us know what is missing for you. If you plan to develop on it. It's Houston 45. And it's very similar to the one on Windows. Open a new shift in the main drawer. I will show you. We have the X station loaded. Another transaction. Add an item. Pay cash. Would you like to print the transaction receipt in the file? Yes. And of course, I didn't enable hardware station. And because of that, I'll have to go home and select the hardware station. Let me add the product. I have the same error as I had before with the payment connector that I did not configure. I'll continue. I'll go to the transaction. I'll have the item. I will pay cash. I will click yes. And oh, I'm sorry. I ran into a bug in my hardware station API. Yeah, I believe this has been, excuse me, the station failure. Yeah, I believe this has been backported to hasn't been backported to 958. So, I mean, it's still in preview. We need you to use it and find the bugs. This one is a bug that I have found just live, and we'll be backporting the fix for it. I know that on 958, sorry, excuse me, 959, this has been fixed for the extensibility. But yeah, just make sure that I have everything correct here. But at least what I can show you is also I can show you where the app is created. For the iOS, we will have the .app, and then on the package contents, we can see the extensions being packaged for the hardware station and for the pause extension. For the macOS, on the app itself, we'll have the extensions for hardware station being packaged. And for the pause extensions as well, the same as we did the postcard checkout. So please use it and let us know what features are missing, and you keep closing this gap. So hopefully this is a quick run dry on a quick like from zero to here on how to just create a simple app with simple extensions and just connect to FNO and start developing it with debugging support from Visual Studio Code using our Commerce SDK. You can also use from Visual Studio. The structures are extremely similar, except from the fact that it's on Visual Studio and you're going to run from there. And if you want to develop iOS and macOS, you have to pair the Visual Studio on Windows to a Mac, and there are guides for that. And that's pretty much it for the demo. And I believe we're going to go to some quick Q&A. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Pedro, for the wonderful session. Definitely, this would help as a quick starter for the folks who want to try Commerce SDK hardware extensions. So, yep. Yeah, with that, we'll go with Q&A session. So I see one question posted, Pedro, with the self-hosted CSU with the offline hardware extension supported.
So with a self-hosted CSU with offline extension supported, yes, we just need to connect to a CSU. When it's just a normal activation, like if it is supported on Windows, it's going to be supported on iOS, Android, and macOS.
Okay. Yep. Thanks for joining the session for today. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.